If you've ever felt like you met your divine partner, your twin flame, and it turned into the most agonizing, soul-crushing relationship of your life, what you're about to hear is not going to comfort you. It was a recognition so violent, it made my head spin. We would talk for 10 hours straight, and it felt like 10 minutes. When we talked about God, consciousness, meaning of life, he didn't just understand me, he was finishing my thoughts. The telepathy was insane. We lived in different countries, yet every time we would meditate together, I could feel the air in the room thicken. I felt his presence on my skin. When he finally asked me, "Does this feel like twin flames to you?" I didn't just agree, I felt like the universe was finally screaming my name. Well, except for the times when he would suddenly disappear. For days, weeks, even a month, every time we got too close, he would vanish. He'd evaporate after the tiniest bit of friction, leaving me in a vacuum where the oxygen had been sucked out. I excused his behavior by telling myself stories about his difficult childhood, but I lived through little deaths every few months. I called it a karmic lesson. And after days of crying in bed and endless self-reflection on what I did wrong, I'd gather my broken pieces and crawl back to my creative work. In fact, it was during those dark periods that I wrote 2 books, and every time I finally felt back on track, he'd magically reappear. Little did I know I was just recharged enough to be a source of food again. It took me a full year to wake up to the fact that what I treated as a sacred union was a narcissist dynamic by the book. And not just any narcissist, but the most sophisticated form, the spiritual narcissist. But in fact, it was his absence that taught me the truth. In that sense, encountering a narcissist, especially the spiritual kind, is a brutal yet vital initiation. The lesson of the stage is to realize that the prophet you've been seeking out there has always been inside you. The narcissist appears in your life only to show you that you've been looking for a savior outside of yourself. Healing is simply seeing this. Seeing the repeating pattern, seeing the value of energy carried by the vessel of your body, and seeing the other for who they are, not the image you desperately wanted them to be. The hardest part when seeing that is choosing to believe it.